So I need to give you a little background before any of this makes sense. I live in apartment 4B at Maplewood Commons in Columbus, Ohio. It's a decent building. The elevator is slow, the heating makes a sound every November that I can only describe as a dying animal, and the parking situation is something I refuse to get into because I'll be here all day. I work from home. I keep weird hours. I make my coffee at 7:14 every morning. That's not a typo, I mean 7:14 specifically. And before you say anything, yes, I know how that sounds, and no, I don't want to talk about it. The point is, I liked my life. Quiet, predictable, mine. And right next door in 4A was Sandra Myers. Sandra had lived there for 11 years before I even moved in. Gary, the building manager. Guy always smells like cigarettes and mint gum, always. Never just one or the other. He told me about her on day one while handing me my keys. He said it casual, like mentioning a speed bump. She's fine, just don't touch her parking spot. I did not touch her parking spot. First week, though, she knocked on my door. Said my keyboard was audible through the wall after 10 p.m. I apologized. Bought a quieter keyboard. 4 days later, she knocked again to thank me, which honestly I was not expecting, and I stood there in my doorway for a second too long, not knowing what to do with that. That was Sandra. Direct. Not mean about it, just direct. She was 67, widowed, and ran on tea and opinions. Her late husband Gerald had been an engineer. She mentioned him the way you mention a book you really loved. Past tense, but not sad about it. More like it shaped how you see everything else. We had a thing going, the two of us. Nothing formal. She watered her hallway plant every Tuesday. I held the elevator. We talked about the building, the weather, whether the new Thai place on 5th Street was worth it. It was worth it, for the record. She disagreed. She thought the pad Thai was too sweet, and she's not entirely wrong, but I'm not going to tell her that. The point is, normal neighbor stuff, nothing unusual. Never once in 2 years did I think to myself, something strange is going to come from 4A. And then she texted me at 2 a.m. Before we go any further, if you're the kind of person who loves stories that take turns you genuinely never see coming, you're in exactly the right place. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every single week I bring you real-life stories just like this one. Funny, unexpected, and absolutely true to life. Now let's get back to Sandra's text message, because trust me, you are not ready for where this goes. Okay, so 2 a.m. when you work from home isn't always as dramatic as it sounds. Sometimes you're still finishing something. Sometimes you've been watching the same show you've already seen twice. Sometimes, and I'll just be honest, you're eating cereal on the couch and staring at the wall. That was me. Cereal, couch, wall. My phone buzzed, and I picked it up without looking because I assumed it was Marcus, my best friend, who texts at all hours like time is a suggestion. The name on the screen was Sandra Myers. I sat up. Cereal went on the floor. I looked at my phone like it had just said something in a different language. 3 words. Are you awake? I stared at that for probably a full minute, because that message at 2 a.m. is not a neutral message. That's a message with weight. That's a message that means something is coming after it. I typed back, yes, everything okay? The dots appeared, disappeared, came back, went away again. Then, wonderful. Come to the door when you get a chance. I called Marcus. He answered fast. Too fast for 2 a.m., which means he was either already awake or he's just built differently. Knowing Marcus, both are possible. I read him the texts. Okay, he said. She needs something. Neighbor stuff. Probably boring. Right, I said. Or, he paused. She baked something. Sandra gives off big midnight baker energy. Marcus. Or, he said louder. She heard something in the apartment and she needs a second person there. Like a noise. Or a smell. You ever smell something weird in the hallway? No. I mean, I don't know. Weird building stuff. Pipes maybe. Hopefully pipes. I walked to my door and looked through the peephole. Just the hallway. The plant. The flickering light that's been flickering for 4 months and nobody has fixed. What do I say when I open the door? I asked. Be normal, Marcus said. Don't look like you've been losing your mind for the last 10 minutes. I have been losing my mind for the last 10 minutes. She doesn't need that information. I actually rehearsed it, out loud, in my apartment, alone. I said, hey Sandra, everything all right? And then I said it again with slightly different energy, and Marcus, on the phone, coached me through this like it was a job interview. A grown man in Columbus, Ohio, practiced his door opening line at 2 a.m. I opened the door. Sandra was already in the hallway. Not knocking, just standing there in a blue cardigan over pajamas. Little yellow typewriters all over them. I'm not making that up. Holding a mug with a chipped handle, looking completely unbothered, like she'd been up for hours and had made total peace with that. "Jake," she said. "Good, come in." Now, Sandra had never invited me into 4A. In 2 years, I'd stood at her doorway exactly twice, briefly, practically. Walking fully in felt strange in a way I couldn't name. I also noticed at this exact moment that I had a piece of cereal stuck to my shirt. I left it. There was nothing to be done about it. Her apartment was warm. Books on every wall, shelves so packed they bowed in the middle, framed photos, a reading lamp in the corner throwing yellow light across an old armchair, a writing desk covered in papers, sticky notes, and what appeared to be 3 separate grocery receipts being used as bookmarks. "Sit," she said. I sat. "Is everything all right?" "Everything is wonderful." She settled into the desk chair and folded her hands. "I have a question for you. I need a man's perspective on a scene I've written." I just looked at her. "From my novel," she said. "Chapter 31. I've rewritten it 6 times and it's still not right. I need an outside read. From a man. Specifically one who tends to overthink things." She said that last part looking directly at me. I didn't say anything. "You've written a novel?" I finally managed. "I've written 3, she said. "This is the 4th. She handed me 11 pages, paper-clipped, margins full of notes in green ink. The scene was about a man in his early 30s, worked from home, analytical, had a very specific morning routine, getting news that changed the direction of his life. The writing was good, really good, the kind where you forget you're reading. "Read it," she said. "I'll make tea." I read. She made tea. The apartment was quiet except for the kettle and Sandra occasionally scribbling something on whatever else she was already working on. The male lead's name was James Calloway. I slowed down. James Calloway, 32, worked from home, made coffee at a precise time every morning. I kept reading. James talked to his best friend Marcus at least 3 times a week. I stopped. I looked up. Sandra was not looking at me. She was writing something in the margin of a different page, frowning slightly at it, and then she crossed something out. "Sandra," I said. The main character." I kept my voice very even. "He makes his coffee at a specific time every morning." 7:14, she said. "It comes up in chapter 4. The room got very quiet. "And his best friend's name is Marcus." "It is." I put the pages down on my knee, and here's the thing, and I want to be honest about this because I think it's important. My first thought was not, "This is sweet." My first thought was, "Wait, has she been listening through the wall this whole time?" I sat with that for a second, because that's a real question. 3 years of living next door and somehow she knows my schedule, my coffee time, my friend's name. I looked at the wall between our apartments. Then I looked back at her. She was still writing something, completely unbothered. And I thought, okay, this is Sandra. Sandra who brought me soup. Sandra who knocked twice, once to correct me and once to thank me. This isn't weird. This is just someone who pays attention. And maybe I'm not used to that. "How long have you been writing this character?" I asked. She set her pen down, picked up her tea. "Gerald passed 3 years ago November. I started writing the following January. James was in chapter 1. She reached into the desk drawer and slid an envelope across to me. A letter. Harrington and Wells Publishing, New York, dated that morning. They had reviewed the full manuscript of The Man in 4B. I looked up. She was watching me now, waiting. The Man in 4B. My apartment number, on the cover of a novel, being published by a house in New York. "You named the book after my apartment," I said. "I named it after the man in it," she said. I read the letter again. Contract pending, publication date, a number at the bottom that I won't repeat but was not small. "Sandra," I said, you actually did this." I did. For 3 years. It takes time to get it right. She picked up her pen again. Gerald used to say the best things always take longer than you planned. He was usually talking about plumbing, but it applies. I laughed. I didn't plan to. It just came out. She smiled, not a big smile, just the corner of her mouth, and went back to her page. The scene, I said. Chapter 31. When James gets the news. Can I tell you one thing? She looked up immediately, pen ready. He doesn't sit down, I said. When he reads the letter, he stays standing. Because sitting would make it real before he's ready for it. Sandra looked at her page, made a note in green ink, read it back to herself quietly. Yes, she said. That's it. I left 4A at 4 in the morning, didn't sleep, just lay on my couch looking at the ceiling, called Marcus around 4:30. How'd it go? He said. She wrote a novel, I said. About me. 3 years. It's getting published. Silence. Jake. Yeah. She wrote a whole book. About you. Yes. Long pause. Am I in it? He asked. I had to put the phone down. The book came out 4 months later. Sandra flew to New York for a signing. She asked me to water the hallway plant while she was gone. I did it on Tuesday, the way she always did. Marcus read his chapter before I read mine and texted me at 11 p.m. just to say I'm portrayed very accurately. He was not portrayed accurately. He was portrayed as charming. He framed his page. Sandra's daughter Diane, who had spent 2 years being quietly suspicious of me for reasons I never fully understood, called after she finished the book. She said, "You're apparently one of the decent ones." From Diane, that's basically a parade. I still make my coffee at 7:14. Sometimes at night I can hear Sandra typing through the wall. She keeps strange hours, too. I never thought about it before, but lately I find it kind of settling. Like knowing the building is still running. Like knowing someone's still at it. I sleep better when I hear it, honestly. And I think that's the thing about the right neighbor. You don't always know what they're doing on the other side of the wall. Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes it's better than fine. Good night. You know, stories like Sandra's remind me why I do this. Because real life, when you actually pay attention to it, is funnier, warmer, and more surprising than anything anyone could make up. If this story made you smile, made you think about your own neighbors, your own life, or just gave you a good reason to stay up a little later tonight, then you already know this channel is for you. Every week, I bring you stories exactly like this one. Stories about ordinary people in ordinary places. Apartments, neighborhoods, small towns, quiet streets, where something completely unexpected happens, and nothing is ever quite what it looks like on the surface. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it'll catch you right in the chest. Always, always, it'll surprise you. If that sounds like your kind of thing, and based on the fact that you made it all the way to the end of this video, I'm thinking it is. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and it means you'll never miss a story. And if this one made you laugh, or if Sandra reminded you of someone you know, give this video a like. It genuinely helps more people find these stories. And honestly, Sandra deserves the audience. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, maybe check in on your neighbors. You never know what they're working on.